There's no historic career path, and I think that's a problem of HR and learning and development teams who, when they've got a training budget, they tend to send PAs off on another Word course or a PowerPoint course, or let's do something really exciting. Let's send you off on an assertiveness course. The last thing you want for people who aren't naturally assertive is to send them on an assertiveness course. So if you're a nice, quiet person, don't go on an assertiveness course. They serve very little purpose other than point you in the wrong direction. And the career pathway for PAs is not adequately supported because the role is not professionally recognised sufficiently. Yeah? So talking about continuing professional development, and some people say to me, what is that all about? If you haven't heard of CPD or you're not engaged in CPD, then you should be. Because CPD is all about, once a year, being able to document for other people to see how your career has progressed, how you have progressed your career. So if you kept a CPD log, which is nothing fancier than an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document in a table format, you just once a month write down all the things you've done during the month that have enhanced your career. Now, hopefully, if this event is as good as it should be, you could put in there 16 hours plus a night event, call it 20 hours of continuing professional development from spending 2 days here. Because you're talking to your peers, you're talking to people who are interested in PAs, you're learning something. You'll go away from at least one figure from this presentation. That's important. So CPD is literally a record. Now, why you have that record is when you sit down, if you're unfortunate enough to have an appraisal process with somebody other than your boss, like an HR department, and they say things to you like, what exactly have you done during the last 12 months? Then you just give them your CPD record and twiddle your thumbs while they read it. Because it's a list of things that you've done. If you read PA Life every month when it comes out, or you read APA's electronic newsletter that we send to you a couple of times a month, that's continuing professional development. Our newsletter might take you 15 minutes to read online, and you might click through to some of the things that we identify as being relevant to you. You might read the latest legislation that we point out to you. That's all about continuing professional development. So that's important. And in fact, it is the ace in your armoury, in your portfolio, and I really call it annual career enhancement. And if you can say, I'm a PA, I'm a professional individual, I'm qualified, and I make sure personally that I continue to stay ahead of the game. I share best practice with my peers. I am a professional. And if you then choose to join an organisation like ours, you have the designatory letters after your name, and of course you could qualify and have designatory letters as well. CPD is a process. PAs should be good at managing process. So it's worth doing. How important is a PA? When we started APA in 2007, we started off by surveying the chief executives of the top 5,000 UK businesses. Good a place as any to start. And we asked them a whole series of questions, but the killer question, the one that really we wanted the answer to, said, by what percentage does your PA increase your personal business effectiveness? And we defined that as productivity. How much more productive does having a PA make you? Because that should be critical. Somebody somewhere in the annals of history had decided that that person warrants the company spending its shareholders' money for them to employ a PA to help them, but nobody ever bothers to quantify the return, and technically the return on investment. The answer came back, 2,600 and something people replied to that survey, which is good, and the figure was 32%. Now that's meteoric. The average salary of those people was £758,000. Call that a third of £750,000 is £250,000. So having a PA gives you £250,000 uplift on your productivity each year. And given that PAs on average are paid $26,900, or it was about $25,000 at that time, that's a 10 times return on investment. If you then go back to your boss and say, what do we produce? What do we do in this business that gives us a 10 times return on investment? That's rare. You know what sort of level of investment we're getting on our money in the banks at the moment? Pitifully low. So to get a high return on investment is incredible. So PAs are exceptionally good value. I don't have to tell you that, you know that. We repeated the survey with some of our friends some of using the job boards as vehicles to get to the chief executives of about 500,000 businesses, that figure went up to 42%. I tend to use the 32 because if you ask enough small business people, it goes up to over 2,000%. They're PAs. They're great. Can't do without them. So I tend to use a figure of 30 to 42. And when we launched the 32% figure and I was interviewed by Lorraine Kelly on her breakfast show, she still felt compelled to say to me, but I suppose your PA goes and gets your dry cleaning for you, doesn't she? And the only thing I could think of saying to that as a quick response is, yes, she does, but if she's busier than I am, I go and get hers. And that's the only thing I could say to try and get the teamwork message across quickly. So APA, very quickly, we developed a series of professional qualifications, entry-level, apprentice, professional level for more experienced PAs. We have a PA as a manager course, and then until last year, the feather in our cap, the highlight was the diploma DIP PA, superb qualification, now taken by over 500 PAs. We have a small number of them that pass with distinction, and they're our honour guard, if you like. But we have some great PAs that do very well on this, and the qualification is increasingly recognised. We deliver it we're prolific in Scandinavia. The Scandinavian PAs are going mad for this at the moment, but we do it in Germany as well. We're just about to deliver a course in Spain. We do that in the Middle East, and we have people flying in from all over the world to do our qualifications. Somebody flying in for the next course from Singapore, which is a huge investment, both in time and in accommodation. But last year we launched what I think was the pièce de résistance, which is the degree for PAs. I do not suggest that every PA has to have a degree. I know because the managing director of Hayes PA and Secretarial, Jeff Sims, told me only recently that they're getting more and more requests for PAs that have degrees, but I don't see it as essential. The core PA skill is a lot of common sense and good streetwise smarts to get problems solved, but a degree could be an added benefit. What it does do for us as an organisation is it allows us to say, this is a profession. Right the way through from an entry-level qualification, right the way through to the ultimate qualification in the land, we can offer it. So we have 3 levels of degree qualification with our partners at Middlesex University, and that's been great. And it's a modular degree. You do it at your desk. You can do it over a shorter period as you want, or a longer period as you like. A lot of it's online. It's very easy to manage. Sadly, the worst thing of all is that we were stabbed badly last year because the government increased the fees dramatically, as we know they have for all degrees, which is sad, but there we are. We now have a career pathway. We have a whole series of master classes. I won't bore you with this. Anybody who wants to join, you'd be very welcome. We love members. The last reason why PAs are underpaid is that PAs generally are happy. Where's Dahlia? Dahlia, who's one of our members sitting in the back, is also a singer. I was going to get her to join me and sing Happy at this point. But generally speaking, the PA population are happy. And I'll tell you why. 80% of PAs are happy with their remuneration. You know, I think that 26,900 as an average is far too low. In our salary survey, 80% said they're happy. In terms of satisfaction with their basic salary, 73% are satisfied. In terms of their variation over the next 12 months, most of them think it's going to stay the same. They're still happy. How many have asked for an increase over the last 12 months? 70% haven't. And the reasons are, I didn't feel the need. What? Everybody should ask for a salary increase every year. Don't have to get it, don't have to expect to get it. But tell me if inflation doesn't go up every year. Tell me if the price of travel and petrol and accommodation, things don't go up every year. Everything goes up. So it at least ought to go up in line with inflation. And then there's about 33% here that say, I wouldn't, at no point asking, I wouldn't have got it anyway. So intimidated. But the figure that 70% said, no, didn't ask. Job satisfaction, 93% are happy in their jobs. No wonder you're all here today and smiling in this lovely sunny location, because you're happy. Do you know what the average happiness scale is for people employed in the UK? And we're thought to be one of the better economies. 63%. 63% of workers in the UK are generally happy in their work. You should be happy in your work. PAs, 93% are happy. Either that or they've lost the plot. No, I don't mean that. How many people do you work for? That was an important figure for us this year, because more and more people, there's a tendency, particularly in the public authorities, to go back to something that used to be called a secretarial pool, and now they've called it a PA pool. And that's incredibly dodgy for me, because it's just pooling a group. How can you pick up the phone and say, "Can I speak to my PA, please? Who is that?" Which is what it is. I find it a strange concept, and I've told a number of them that. But 49% of PAs work for one person only, 23% for two, 27% more than two, and there's a figure down here of 3 or 4% that work for 10 plus people. So, and I think APA believes you can genuinely be a professional PA working for 3 people, and you can't work for them all. They can't share you 30-odd% each. You'd have to work for one at least 50% to fulfill the role of a genuine PA, we believe. Relationship with your boss, 81% are happy. It's good, isn't it? It's worth going to work, yeah? It really is. They don't pay much, but you're happy. I do believe that there are only 4 reasons to go to work. You probably know this, probably heard this times. 4 reasons to go to work are money, money, fun, and money. So this seems to fit with this job. Has the status of PAs changed over the last 5 years? Well, I mean, this is a little bit self-serving, and the next slide is even more self-serving, so forgive me for this. But over the last 5 years, people think that the role is seen to be more important, and over 60% say that. So that's good news. And I'd like to think in some small way we've had a part to play in that, because we're 5 years old. I don't suggest that by a long shot we're the only people that do that. But APA is 5 years old, and we're going from strength to strength continuously. So thank you for letting me give you those figures. You're the first people to have seen them, other than the membership. So those of you that aren't in membership, that's an exclusive piece of information for you. Have you got any questions? Is there anything you'd like to challenge me on anything to do with the PA profession? Who's going to kick off? Somebody challenge me. Otherwise, I'm going to ask Dahlia. She's going to have to ask me a question. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
I'm Abigail from PA Live.
Hi.
I wanted to focus a little bit more on the value that you placed on professional qualifications. Can you just go over those figures a little bit more and explain the value they add to people in terms of salary increases and work?
Well, as to why being a member leads to an increase.
How financially they have an impact.
Yeah. I think it's all about that.
Just repeat the question, please.
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, of course I can. The question was, how do you put a value on membership and qualification, and how does that actually be realised by somebody employed as a PA? I think the reality is that, firstly, that PAs, clearly from this survey, don't actually go out and press the case for the value of what they do. And it often isn't recognised, because if you document it, it looks mighty impressive. Faye, one of my PAs, describes her role as my makeup artist, because she has to make up more stories about where I am and what I'm doing. But it's a standard job. On our list of things that PAs do, which we use on the courses, there's the title Snake Charmer. Never understood that one, but somebody came up with it, so we included it. But I mean, it's an endless list. You guys know that. But the role, as a part of our diploma, we reduce it to 1 sentence, so that you can instantly say what it is that a PA is engaged to do. And I think what membership of a professional body and qualifications give you, first of all, is an exposure to other PAs. Okay, you might be able to do that by networking, but it's more of an educational process. It gives you the knowledge, it gives you exposure to best practice. Silly things. We've got one of our male PA members has gone back to using old technologies. Anybody know what T cards are? Do you remember T cards?